Hello, everyone. It's me again, Mr. Allen, and I'm here to have a chit chat session with Jessica, who is currently a year four student majoring in education, the faculty of Letter. Hi, Jessica. Hi.
Hi,
Hello, how are you today?
if I'm fine.
Cool. In your previous videos, you've talked about the simultaneous recruiting of new graduates.
Yes, I know
This
it.
whole process. Well, this process is very interesting. When I was watching the video, I was thinking, wow, how can that be? How can this be so centralized? And how can this whole process be so, I don't know, like unified in for the whole Japanese companies? So my very first question is, are these are this happening? Is this like simultaneous recruiting of new graduates? Are this actually happening for all companies, including the universities, so like all institutions?
Yes,
Oh,
almost all of them. Yeah.
wow. All of them in one job fair.
Uh, not companies. All of the companies in Japan will attend in one job fair, but like 300 companies is enter. It's going to end. I mean, attend in a one job fair.
Mm.
Yeah, which is true.
Do they have a system, a centralized system for this simultaneous recruiting process?
No, I think I
No.
mean, no, yeah, uh you just hand in your like entry sheet. You entry separately.
Oh, so you just email them basically.
Uh, Most of the company require a system that you hand in your entry sheet in the recruiting website.
Mm.
Yeah, but separately.
Oh, okay. And how long is this process last for?
Usually it depends on when you start. For example, if you hand in your entry sheet at like March, and it will usually end at May if you luckily pass all the phases.
You mean including all the interviews, those part?
Yes, 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 yes,
Oh, it's actually quite intensive.
yes.
You have to, well, first of all, entry sheet. You say the entry sheet is similar to a CV. How how long or like how many information do you need to prepare in this entry sheet?
It depends on companies, but usually they require you to write, for example, what is your strength, what is your weakness, what have you done in your
Mm,
university, I mean, in your 4 year times during your universities,
mm,
what you want to do in this company, and what you want to be 10 years later. So there are like
mm,
special question include what is your dream, or like what trouble have you faced during
right.
dealing with other people and how you solve it. It just depends on companies. Yeah.
So the entry sheet is provided by the companies.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Okay. So every company has their own entry sheet, and then you will have to apply for the job by filling in the entry sheet.
Yes.
Okay. And okay, so entry sheet is provided by the companies, and you have the SPI exam.
Yes.
SPI exam is you have mentioned that it's an exam testing your secondary level of mathematics,
Mm.
English, and Japanese language, right? But do you need to provide them the grades that you got from the university?
No.
Huh? So they don't need to consider your university grades.
Yes, I do not really care about what GPA have you taken in your university. Yes, because in fact, during the recruiting process, you haven't
Hmm.
graduate from the university. Yeah, your
But
final
you still
result.
have some. But you still have some previous grades before, right?
They made they may take a look on your result, but you don't really care about it.
Oh,
It's one of the, like, you can take it as an advantages or a disadvantage during this system. Yeah.
okay. So entry sheets, the SPX. How long is the SPI exam?
Let me think. They are like, oh yeah, I you have to do a personality test as well. So
Whoa.
four tests to do, and one test is for around 20 minutes. So 1 hour. Yeah. Or yeah.
So what kind of tests were they? So personality test, 20
Mathematics,
minutes,
math,
mathematics,
and English,
English,
Japanese.
and Japanese. And after this test, if you passed, if the exam passed, and you will then successfully enter to the interview sessions.
Yes.
And all companies will have 3 interviews as standard
Most of them have 3 times or maybe more.
because you will have to meet 3 people.
Yeah. It's like, for example,
Mm,
the first time will be the HR. I mean,
mm,
some people from the human resources, and
mm,
maybe the next time will be a much more higher person from a higher position. And sometime the
mm.
third time will be with the boss of the company. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's quite intensive.
Yes.
It's very stressful. Do you really have enough time for all these applications?
Um, no, and it's stressful. Like, it's really stressful because you
Oh,
may, like, at the same time you need to prepare for another company entry sheet, and today you take your, like, the company you want to enter at most, and they said your entry sheet didn't pass, and you're like, you are really sad.
yeah.
You do not have time to be sad.
Well, personally, I think this whole recruiting process is very different from what we know, and the whole process is quite unique.
Mm.
Personally, do you like this kind of process?
I don't like it. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
fine.
I'm not someone that really good at selling myself and selling
Mm,
my personality, and I would rather like to learn some practical skills and, like, sell myself. I have these skills, but in Japan, companies really emphasize on your personality, and it's hard because you need to, like, give some, you need to, I am special in like 100 or 200 or 300 or like 1,000
mm.
attendance.
In your previous video, you have talked about um, in the job career. There are lots of job careers in design, gaming industry, and also the industry, the anime industry. So, what do you think for foreigners? What are the commonly found job for foreign students?
Maybe trading company, or like
Hmm.
um companies that making something, for example, which they have trading with foreign country.
Hmm.
Yes. And actually, Japanese company do not really care about are a foreigner or not. You still have to, like, act the same as
As a
Japanese
Japanese.
if you after you enter the company. So there are no difference. They just emphasize on your personality, and you need to have adequate Japanese level compared with other Japanese. So
Hmm.
there aren't a really common job that um yeah, foreign student will attend to. Yeah.
Hmm. So, my last question for our conversation. Can, can you think of one word that is most important, or one word that can advise to the students who are willing to study or who wants to study in Japan?
keep learning. Yeah, keep learning. I thought my Japanese is really good, and I thought that before entering the college, but after entering the college, I realized that I still have a lot of things to learn. And since, for example, if you are studying abroad, if you're going to UK or US, there are lots of resources that can help
Mm,
you, and you are just using English, a language you learn from kindergarten. But Japanese, I
mm,
think there are not much people that they learn Japanese from. Usually, people learn Japanese from like secondary stage.
mm,
So, but you need to use that language to like write papers, to write your graduation thesis and take exams. So you need to like keep learning, no matter
mm.
in terms of improving your Japanese or to get used to dealing with Japanese people.
Well, I think the whole thing, studying in Japan or even searching for jobs in Japan are definitely not an easy process. I can definitely feel it during our
Uh,
conversation. But well, I think you're trying so hard, trying your best to do the whole thing. I think as you what you have said, you have to keep learning, you have to keep exploring, learning about the culture, how the culture works there, how the people actually works there, and how the whole system actually work for a student. I think the preparation is more, I think some preparation, of course, some paperwork preparation is important, but then the mindset preparation, how to adapt to the whole new system of study, new system of searching for jobs are also very critical, as I have just listened to you.
oh
And
yeah.
I think, and Japanese language sounds to me in our conversation is very, very important, very crucial.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So
It's because
you need to have Japanese for studies, Japanese for the work.
yes, and there are like a different like usage of Japanese after you enter university. For example, English lesson.
Mm.
We have English lesson as well, but our English lesson is not learn to use English mostly. We read English material and we translate to Japanese. And I remember that at the first English class I attend at the year one, teacher asked me what's the Japanese word of reference. And I can't answer it because I use reference in like talking with Hong Kong people. I use the word
Yeah,
reference. How
yeah.
can I know I can't even know what Chinese word of reference. How can I know a Japanese word? So yeah, it's quite different from like learning English.
Well, you learn English because you need to learn how to apply Japanese
Yeah,
from
yeah.
English.
I mean, like
Interesting.
at the English class at the first year, the most difficult thing is not learning English, it's how to translate in Japanese.
Well, thank you so much, Jessica, sharing your experience, like the whole ideas of the recruiting process and how the culture actually works, the whole cultural system actually works in Japan. And I hope everyone can have some ideas how you study, how will you apply for the studies in Japan, and how will you work in Japan, and a lot of determination in language, to learn about keep learning the culture, learning the whole how the system actually works. I think these are the most critical thing that you have to prepare before well prepared before you go to Japan. So if you have any comments, questions, please leave it down there and we will have someone to answer you. And thank you so much, Jessica. And I wish you all the best and you find a good job, you find your own career, own interest. And yeah, thank you. Very good luck. Good luck to you. Thank you. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.